the name Betsy Farmer sounds familiar to you, it's probably because of how often she makes the news for helping people with special needs. Those people include her son, Luke, to whom she has just secured funding to keep a major promise. After years of campaigning and fundraising, a project called Promise of Brevard just received millions of dollars to open a special community of homes and businesses in West Melbourne. I invited Betsy and Luke to the Florida Today studio to explain. I also asked for her advice to parents who are either new to Brevard or new to raising a child with special needs. She was quick to share her take on the level of support here on the Space Coast. Thank you, co-founders, for joining me here today in the studio. For the people in my audience who don't know, what is Promise of Brevard?
Okay, Promise of Brevard is a housing development that we're going to build in West Melbourne on 39 acres. And our goal is to provide not only housing, but employment. Health, wellness, fitness, a really well-rounded life for our young adults with special needs. We'll have about 131 young adults that will be living there, 125 with special needs, and we're going to have about 6 college students from Florida Tech that will live there as housing assistants.
Is it part of their education program?
Yeah, we've got a great partnership with Florida Tech, and so we're looking to give at least 6 students housing, free housing, in turn for them, being there on our campus and being part of Promise. And I think the guys will always like having the college girls there. What do you think, Luke? Yeah? Yeah. So it's going to be great. Yeah, they have the Scott Center for Autism there, and they have the school psychology, so it's going to be a wonderful thing for both populations.
Oh, that sounds that's a good partnership.
Absolutely.
Why is this needed?
Well, gosh, it all started like 9 years ago when Luke graduated from high school. Actually, 10 years ago he graduated. And he told me he wanted to move on his own and live on his own like his big brother. And I started looking around to see what was available, and there really wasn't anything but group homes. And Luke was the first child with Down syndrome to go into regular kindergarten in Brevard County School District history. And so living in a group home with 5 or 6 other guys was just not really what was going to work for Luke, because he'd been used to being mainstreamed. And so when I looked around to see what was available, all it was group homes. And so God gave me this vision of this condominium kind of complex that people thought I was crazy for about 6.5 years. They didn't think this would ever happen. But our kids need a place to be able to live and work and play and have that well-rounded life and not be stuck off in a group home in the middle of a neighborhood with neighbors that don't really want to be their friends. So
when is this going to open?
Well, since we got our funding officially on December 12th, we look to break ground this summer. We're hoping to break ground this summer, and it'll take a little over a year to build. So we're really hoping that the holiday season in 2016, we'll have a big, wonderful Promise family dinner in our new dining room there.
So we did a news story that about the Florida Housing Finance Agency.
Yes.
Coming through with how much? 15 million?
We got 15.8 million.
Now, is that most of the money? Because I know that you've been doing benefits, fundraising, outreach, so much hard work over the years. Was that really just the final piece or the biggest piece?
That's the biggest piece. That's about 80% of the funding that we need for the entire project. Okay. So that primarily is for the housing piece. We're going to have 10 other businesses. We're going to have 10 businesses at Promise to employ our Promise residents, because so many of them want a job. Some have had a job and lost it, and some have never had a job. So we're going to start 10 different businesses to provide employment. So we need to raise about another $3.5 million so we can build the rest of the businesses. We started our first business last October, which is Promise Treasures Thrift Shop. And that's done really well. We've been able to hire 8 young adults. And then we're going to have a hydroponic garden, a farmer's market, a plant nursery. We're going to have a disability-friendly bed and breakfast, a disability-friendly hair and nail salon, an art center, a doggy daycare, and a dog park. And then we're building the Promise Cafe, Bakery, and Ice Cream Shop at the new West Melbourne Community Park. And then we'll have a whole landscaping and lawn crew. So we're going to have all these employment opportunities for young adults to make real paychecks and become productive tax-paying citizens. So that's what the rest of the money will go for. And then we're going to have a horse barn and riding arena as well. So we're going to have a therapeutic riding program there. Many of our young adults have horses. They use for therapy.
All on the grounds.
Yeah, 39 acres. And then the Promise Cafe, Bakery, and Ice Cream Shop will be at the new West Melbourne Community Park on Mitten Road across from Calvary Chapel. So we're partnering with the City of West Melbourne and the Field of Dreams to do that. So it's really exciting.
Tell me about the reception that you've gotten in West Melbourne. How has that been?
Wonderful. West Melbourne truly is one of the best cities ever. They have been wonderful. They have welcomed our guys with open arms. Scott Morgan, the city manager, and Hal Rose, the mayor, and all the rest. They have been absolutely wonderful. And what they say is that they value our guys, they value our population, and want them to be an integral part of their community. And I think that is just hats off to them. I mean, they truly are a city that cares, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. They gave us $75,000 towards the purchase of our property, and they're incredibly supportive. They have redone the zoning, whatever we want, and it's just wonderful. And I think it's going to be a great model that we can take across the state and maybe even the country, because West Melbourne's little, 20,000 people.
Right.
And if this little tiny town of 20,000 people can do this for this population, why can't all these other big cities? So,
and yet you're a small organization,
Yep.
and sometimes just getting through the red tape
Oh yeah.
and just the difficulty of securing a property and that kind of thing can be enough to stop something in its tracks.
It's been a long 9 years, let me tell you. I've earned every wrinkle, but it's good. It's really good. Right now is good. It's fun. It's talking with our architect, Dave Menzel from MAI, and our contractor is Don Fatchabine from DFI. And they're very excited, and we're looking to build a really awesome model that can be replicated.
Now, you also had, earlier, it looked like you had sites in Palm Bay or Vieira.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there?
We were originally going to build it up in Vieira. We had spoken with the Duda family, and we were looking at some property there. But then we developed this wonderful relationship with Florida Tech, and Dr. Cantony said, well, if we're going to do this, you need to be in Palm Bay or closer to us. So that's when we started looking at a couple different pieces of property in Palm Bay.
Luke, are you planning to live at Promise?
Yes.
And work there too someday?
Yes.
Now, I understand that you are interested in starting a company there, maybe something involving...
Just having a life.
Having a life? He wants to have a life at
He wants
Promise.
to have a life? What
Yes.
about, I understand that you're quite the martial arts expert.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Not quite an expert, but yeah.
He's a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo.
I would say that's more expert than
Yeah.
those of us here in the studio. So what do you, I mean, you graduated from Bayside High School, right?
Yes.
And so between then and now, what have you been doing and hoping to see? You've been
working.
Working. Luckiest girl.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's always about the girls.
He's quite
So,
the ladies' man.
yes.
And you work at Cinema World, I understand. And what do you like best about working there?
Free movies.
Just having a life.
Okay, well that's great.
It's all about having a life.
And it's all about having a life at Promise as well. Now I understand as we were sitting down here, Luke was looking at one of our newspapers and saw a picture of an old high school friend there. And who was that?
Be a Horschel.
Billy Horschel, the pro golfer?
Yes.
And he was one of your classmates at Bayside?
Yes.
You have something you'd like to say to him today? What would that be?
If Billy was here, what would you say?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. How about
Okay.
How about congratulations for being a dad now? Yeah, Billy was one of those wonderful, wonderful guys who was always incredibly polite and a really good friend to Luke. They were in Scouts together, and Billy's a good guy.
Well, I would just say that having graduated from high school, I remember we took photos and were there for that big event, and getting your black belt in Taekwondo. That's pretty impressive. So good luck, Luke.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about Down syndrome in general, because I know that Florida Today, one of my colleagues here, Britt Kennerly, a year ago talked to you about that. And one of the big things that came up in that interview is that how much better the care is today.
Absolutely.
And that in 50 years, life expectancy has gone from something like 2 years to almost like nearly the same as everybody else.
Absolutely. And see, you asked me why are we doing Promise? That's the biggest reason right there. Is this is the first generation of young adults with special needs that are going to outlive their parents. And so Promise is God's promise to take care of our kids the rest of their life, because the biggest fear we have as families and parents and loved ones is what's going to happen to us when our kids when we're not here anymore.
Right.
So that's what Promise is. We're going to be a one big happy family, and the families can know that when they're not here, their kids will be taken care of. So that's what it's all about.
What kinds of things have changed about care for people with Down syndrome that has led to that kind of
I think
improved quality of life?
Well, the medical piece is huge, because so many of the kids have heart defects, and they've just come so far with the whole the medical field. Our kids, I think, are much healthier. I think that there's a higher expectation level, and they're just more involved sports-wise, and they're just healthier. So they're just living a lot longer, and I think the expectation level is a lot higher, and it's great.
Right. You've been at this for so long. There's the Promise and Brevard piece, but then also any parent like you has been forced to become an expert navigator of the community and its resources and that kind of thing. How would you size up services and support for families like you in Brevard County?
Brevard is great.
Is it?
Yes, it truly is, especially compared to around the country. In our community right here, the resources that are available is really amazing. It truly is amazing with the Scott Center for Autism and the Early Intervention, Space Coast Early Intervention Center. We have a continuum of care from babies now all the way through the rest of their life. That's huge. That means a lot. We have people from out of state that are moving here just so their kids can live at Promise.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I hear about the Space Coast Early Intervention Center all the time. I think some of our viewers may not be familiar with that. What is it?
It's a preschool for children with and without special needs that I started for Luke back in December 2nd, 1987. So, and it makes all the difference in the world. When you have a child with special needs, the earlier you can start the early intervention services, the therapies, the better. And that's what Space Coast does. And Luke was the first child with Down syndrome to be mainstreamed in regular kindergarten, and it was because of the Early Intervention Center and the start he got there that he was able to be mainstreamed. So he's led the way, haven't you? Give me 5. Yeah.
Is there any debate anymore about mainstreaming and whether that's the right way to go or not?
Oh, yes, there is. That's another whole story in itself. It truly is. I mean, for us, it worked really well for Luke, but it just it isn't right for everybody necessarily, and you just kind of you have to balance it out. The parents have to figure it out what's best for their kids. So it's funny because we're taking that pendulum is kind of swinging back now, because when Luke was in school, I was all about having him be mainstreamed, and now we're kind of swinging back to starting our own businesses at Promise. And instead of trying to push our kids to be mainstreamed and working in the community, we're starting our own businesses and going to bring the community into us. So that works really, really well because we have this network of support and volunteers there, and the community comes into us, and so the kids do really well. So I'm kind of flip-flopped a little bit now, but it works, doesn't it, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Promise for a second. Waiting list? I mean, you
Yes,
must have...
huge. We have 275 kids that are interested in living there. We can only take 125 with special needs.
Wow.
So we've always had a huge waiting list. So
there's demand for this beyond...
Yes. And I'm very proud to say that Florida is the first state in the country to actually legislatively mandate funding for housing for people with developmental disabilities. And within the next 2 years, we will have built 4 communities like Promise and provided housing for over 500 young adults with special needs. We're the only state in the country to provide this level of funding, and it's amazing. So
you
very
never
excited.
hear that.
I
You
know.
never hear that. What you hear is that there's just never enough state money, right?
Well, and part of the money that we have is not all state money. Only $3 million of it that we got is actually state money. The 11.8 is low-income housing corporate tax credits. Every state in the country gets that to build affordable housing. We're just the first state to legislatively mandate that 5% of ours is set aside for housing for our population. So they're tax credits. We get awarded them, then we turn around and sell them, and then we get the money kind of in construction draws. So if they're federal tax credits.
I don't know very much about Medicaid or other sources of support for families. I mean, how is that situation in
Well, that's
Florida?
another whole debate. The Medicaid folks, the folks on a national level are kind of digging their heels in, saying that Medicaid funding can't be used to support individuals to live at places like Promise because they say they're institutions. And I'm saying, oh no, this is so far from an institution. So we're kind of taking them on, but we're going to win because what we're doing is the right thing. And it's providing a quality of life that all of us as parents want for our kids. They're going to be happy, and they're going to be safe, and they're going to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
And that's not an institution. So they're wrong. We're right. We're going to win. Good.
Okay. Do you have any champions kind of in the political process
Oh,
at
yeah.
the state or federal level?
Absolutely.
Who are
they? Senator Altman.
Okay.
Obviously, he opened the doors many, many years ago. He introduced me to Senator Gardner. Senator Gardner has a son with Down syndrome, and Luke and I have met them. And Senator Gardner has been a huge champion to get all of this done. And we've only just begun. He's going to be in for 2 more years, and there's a lot of work to be done. and he's willing to do it. So we're very excited there. Of course, you know, Governor Scott and the Attorney General Pam Bondi, I mean, they both love what we're doing too. So, but our whole delegation has been very supportive, and the county commissioners, the city council, everybody. I mean, there hasn't been one politician that said, oh, this is a bad idea, except for the folks in Washington, but that's okay. We'll go there another time.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I mean, for our viewers who haven't been paying attention to politics, Senator Andy Gardner, who now represents Northern Brevard County, is going to be the Senate president, along with also having a House Speaker in Steve Christofouli here.
It's just wonderful.
It's always good to see Brevard figuring so prominently.
Oh,
things
yeah.
getting done up there.
Perfect
Good
timing.
opportunity. Tell me a little bit more about the thrift shop. I know that's one of your big first businesses.
Yeah.
Big success, hard to get off the ground.
Success.
How is that going?
Huge success. Just absolutely amazing. We have over 1,500 customers a month that come through that store. It's crazy. We get great things donated. We keep our prices really low. We provided employment for 8 young adults with special needs. We have over 40 volunteers that help run the thrift store so that we can hire the young adults. It's wonderfully successful. I mean, I have high expectations, and it actually exceeded my expectations, but what's really cool is that the community has wrapped their arms around it, and they come in and they see our young adults working, and they see them in a totally different light. Like, they don't feel sorry for them because they see them working, and they see what a valuable part of society they are, and that what they bring to the table is important for the community. And you know, West Melbourne, they're just awesome, and we've got a lot of big plans to continue to start these other businesses. And the city has been, the community, they're amazing. They really are, and we're incredibly blessed to be living there.
Where is the thrift shop?
On the corner of Wickham and 192 in the Metro West Shopping Center, right behind Walgreens, and Ethel and Fred's.
So people can shop there, they can donate things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have a truck, we can pick things up, and we pick things up for free, and we can deliver things, and stuff comes in the door. Sometimes it goes right out the door the same day. We have people that come every day. We have people that come every Saturday from all over, from Kissimmee. It's really awesome. It's wonderful. It's the promised love is what I call it. People come in and they feel that unconditional love that our guys have. So
I think
we have a young man that's blind that makes cookies. I mean, yeah, he's great. Matt is wonderful. He's always wanted a job, and so he finally got his first job with us. And he makes cookies. He works 4 days a week. So
very good.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Luke, what do you like to work?
Yeah.
That's good. That's very good.
What's the best part? The paycheck? You like the paychecks, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paycheck and the girls.
Yeah, the paycheck and the girls. Don't go there.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, Allie.
Okay. There was another project right nearby that I don't know how. I mean, you must know each other. It's the Field of Dreams project.
Of course, absolutely.
That is there on Minton Road, West Melbourne. That was another project that took a lot of years to get.
Yes.
You know, to come to fruition, get some help, and finally, it seems like things have just opened up. Do you support each other?
Oh my gosh,
do you
yes, we're
know
partners.
each other?
Oh,
or?
big time. Yes. We are partnering with the City of West Melbourne and the Field of Dreams to actually develop the new West Melbourne Community Park. And in that park, the north end will be the Field of Dreams. The south end, the city is doing a big festival area, an amphitheater, a skate park, and a splash park. And right in the middle of the whole park is the Promise Cafe, Bakery, and Ice Cream Shop, which is going to employ probably 30, 40 young adults with special needs. We want to have a big 6,500 square foot building that will have banquet rooms so we can host weddings and Little League banquets and chamber functions. And there'll be a big deck out back with remote control boats and paddle boats. And the park is going to be wonderful. It's going to be a place for the community to come and just kind of hang out and enjoy each other. And it's going to be, and our kids are going to be right in the middle of it. I think that's just so cool, isn't it?
How are you going to manage all this?
How am I going to manage it?
Are you going to manage it?
No, heck no. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's good. It's a combined effort. It's a lot of partners. So
Okay.
it's good.
You've got another piece of this that I think is novel, right? And that is a subdivision that's going to be across the street?
No, it's actually going to be on the 39 acres. There's 9 acres. We're taking 9 of the 39 acres of our property right there in West Melbourne and going to build a townhome subdivision. And that kind of came about because we have a lot of single moms and dads. I'm one of them. And our kids are our whole life. But we want to be close enough to be able to help them, but be far enough to allow them to become independent. So we're going to have our own separate subdivision, our own separate entrance. It's going to be a front porch community. It's going to be townhomes that will be for sale and for rent. And we're also going to provide a first-time homeownership program for people with disabilities that want to own their own home. So we'll be their neighbors, which will be great for them. And then we're also hoping to provide transitional housing for youth aging out of the foster care system, because they have no place to go. And how cool would that be if they could be part of our little subdivision and be surrounded by people that care? And then we can provide vocational training and employment for them as well. So yeah, haven't figured that one out yet, but it's on the to-do list.
It's a pretty amazing concept. Now, what is the status of that?
Well, right now I'm really focusing on getting the design firmed up for Promise. Because it's going to be 3 different buildings, 3 stories, 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units, and with a center courtyard area with an accessible pool and jacuzzi. So we're a therapeutic spa. So we're working on finalizing those plans. The townhome subdivision, we've started some initial planning, but kind of had to focus on Promise. But
so I imagine that once you get this open,
yeah,
there's already so much demand out there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's successful and it's working right, there's going to be demand to expand, perhaps, correct? Is that part of the plan?
There probably is demand, but I'm not going to expand.
Somebody else is
no,
gonna
I'm committing to take care of 125 kids with special needs the rest of my life. That's all I'm going to commit to do. But what I do really believe I'll end up doing, and what I really want to do, is help other communities to actually build places like Promise. Because if I can do it and help make this thing happen in West Melbourne. I'm a little high school diploma mom. If I can do that here, why can't I help other communities? So I'd like to put the whole program together and be able to go and help other communities maybe build their own Promise. We actually have a group in North Carolina that have incorporated as Promise in Mooresville. So who knows? I think it's a great model. I think it should be all over the country. I love what we're doing, the employment and partnering with Florida Tech. So I'd like to help other communities to start something like this, to meet their kids' needs.
You mentioned you're a high school diploma mom. It seems like much of your life and time has been about giving. But tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you come from?
Where did I come from? Upstate New York.
Okay.
Can't you tell the energy level? Yeah. That's why I talk so fast. But yep, I lived up there. I moved down here in 1980. So yep, Ben Luke was born in 1985.
No, it's Josh.
Oh, okay. But anyways, so yeah, this has been my whole life. My kids have been my whole life for many, many years. So I'm a grandma now, so that's fun. So Brady Luke Farmer came into our life a year ago, November.
Wow.
So that's been a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah.
He's a cutie. So.
And you're an uncle?
Yes.
Yes.
How old are you, Luke?
29.
29. All right.
Yep.
Suspect my birthday.
Yep. It is. My birthday's next. Forget it.
My dad's.
Oh, okay. It's always about the birthdays. Always.
Okay, so there's an event that was just on the front page of Florida Today. By the time viewers see this, it will have just happened. But it was a big bike tour around Brevard County. There was a 100-miler, there was a 60-miler, and then another 20-mile event that is everywhere. It looks fantastic. But I was interested to see that Promise is the charity that they have decided to support. How did that happen?
Me too. I don't know. We were at the right place at the right time. The folks that are on that board know about us, and they do have individuals with special needs in their families, and we were just one of the charities that was on the table to possibly get the proceeds, and they ended up voting, and we were selected. And what a wonderful blessing that is. It's just wonderful. So we've got a lot of our families and the Promisers that'll be out there this Sunday to support the bikers. I won't be riding, but we'll be supporting them and being the cheerleaders, right? Yeah. Maybe if you wake up. But we're just super blessed to be the charity for this event. It's a great event.
Yeah, it's
people
fantastic.
from all over come in.
And I'm surprised. I mean, actually, I shouldn't be surprised, but with fitness events like that, I mean, they just wind up being packed.
Yeah.
There are so many people who love to get out and do these things, and it makes them feel good to also be supporting a worthy cause as they're doing it. That's great.
Yep.
So, what's next? What's on your list of things to do? With Promise or with anything else that has to happen publicly?
Well, we hope to be doing the groundbreaking this summer, so that's what we're moving in that direction to have that happen. And I want my groundbreaking to be for my birthday. So what in July? So then that will be just amazing. I can't even imagine. I've dreamed of that day for many, 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 many years. So, but just working with the architect right now and finalizing the plans, because we want to make this just an amazing model that's really sensitive, because we're going to have young adults that are hearing impaired and deaf, visually impaired, and actually completely blind, individuals with cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and autism. So we've got a full gamut of different disabilities, I should say, and so we need to design this thing to meet the individual needs. So just making that perfect little plan is going to take a little bit longer, but it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be really, really good, and these guys are going to have a great life. Huh, Luke?
Yeah.
And have a dance every weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have any advice for a parent who might be kind of new to all this, who may have a child with Down syndrome, about maybe one or two pieces of advice about how to get by in Brevard and where to turn?
Well, we do have a lot of resources here, but I would just say connecting with other families is probably the most important thing, because if they try and go out on their own to find the different resources, it does get overwhelming. But by connecting with other families, then they can learn from their mistakes, actually, and the resources are out there. It's just a matter of connecting with the right one and finding the right one that works for them. But to never give up, and if you run across a professional that is negative and tells you your child can't do anything or won't be able to do this or won't be able to do that, which is what happened with Luke, I would say just run away from them as fast as you can and find somebody that is positive, because you can't listen to the negativity. If I had done that, we really wouldn't be where we are today. So it just fired me up. That's why God gave me Luke, because these people, some were very negative, and I said, oh really? You really don't think that he's going to be able to do this, this, and this? And so we decided to prove him wrong, huh, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having something to prove is one of the things that sustained you through 9 years of trying to get this going.
Yeah, and just kind of wanted to beat the odds. I didn't like that people, we have real high expectations in our organization, and I have myself, and if you can shoot for here and you only get to here, that's great, but if you're only shooting for here, right. So that's kind of how we roll, huh, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Betsy Farmer, thanks for
you.
sharing your story
Thank
here
you
today.
very much.
Luke, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Wish you the very best
Thank
for the
you.
groundbreaking and
Thank you.
Promise this.
We'll let you know
this
when it
summer.
is, okay?
Super, thank you.
Okay,
Love to be
thanks.
there. Well, that's our program. Thanks so much for watching. To respond to anything you saw on today's show, just send an email to me at mreed@floortoday.com or contact me on Facebook or Twitter. We'll see you right here next Wednesday on The Matt Reed Show.